and the rest of the protocol saved the ANC Western Mr. Khalid, all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The topic that we are here is a topic that involves not only Somali community or in Somali in broader, but a topic that has an implication to the stability. It is grounds in the continent of Africa. To start with it, in the start of it, I would have liked to give a brief statement before I go into the history of which we divided into colonization, Somalia as the Republic of Somalia, and Somalia after 1991 when the civil war happened and the secessionists appeared. To give a broader, as the rest of the world position and those who advocate for multiple nations in the world, or multiple nations in the world, or those who advocate the global law, we Somalis in South Africa categorically reject the unilateral, desperate acts to undermine the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Somalia and the stability of the continent of South Africa, period. Okay, allow me to give you then the history in a brief way. Somali territories were characterized by a rich tapestry, ancient civilization, powerful medieval sultanates. In Somalia, we had sultanates, very strong sultanates, that had a civilization and a root marine trade network, of which we are a victim for it up until now. That specific marine route that sits at Bab el-Mandeb and the sea is why we are still, Somalis were divided at the first of all, and why still we are victim of this geopolitics is the way Allah bestowed on us and where we sit in the Horn of Africa. That became why we still are on the spotlight of those who want to divide us and rule us in between. European colonies divided Somalia into 5 parts. When we say they divided into 5 parts, before Somalia was one, but had a different sultanates. Somalia map looked like that before the colonization came and divided us into Italian Somaliland, British Somaliland, Italian Somaliland, where is now Somali, East, Middle and South Somalia, British Somaliland, where is North Somalia, French Somaliland, the modern Djibouti country, Ogadenia or Hot and Reserve area that was annexed by Ethiopian Emperor at the time, and Northern Frontier District NFD, which is now part in Kenya. When the European colonies saw that the Somali people is history and they are people who are fierce in fighting and cannot be colonized, decided to divide them into different parts so that they can rule them. In that manner, when Somalia was divided into these parties, Somalia has started to fight for its independence by different categories. In Somalia territories, the period leading to the independence of British Somaliland Protectorate, 26 June 1960, 2 primary political parties spearheaded the movement for the independence from UK. The 2 Somali parties were Somali National League, call it SNL. The SNL drew its majorities and support from a group, a tribe called Isa clan. And there was also another called USB. The USB formed part of the interest. There were different groups. There were non-Isaac groups who were called Dolbahante, Warsangeli, and Godobirse. Those ones, they had their own part at the time of independence called USP, United Somali Party, of which still they have that part. If you look their roots now, the Somali land that was divided now itself is fragmenting into the two parties that bring the independence. When Somaliland said we secede from the rest of Somalia, now there were two parts. First time when they came and joined Somalia, the same two parts now, the USB that were the Godobirsis and other ones are still advocating their name being United Somali Front, while SNL, that is in the middle, that I will show in a map. If you look like Northeast and Somaliland inside, that Northeast now, it is on, that is where the map that was used to be a Somaliland north of Somalia. So that Northeast now, it is part of the Federal Republic of Somalia. The other part that you see, Adel, on the other side up, is where now they are trying and they are advocating, and their people are not given the chance to decide by themselves whether they want to be part of Greater Somalia or whether they want to be part of the secessionists. Those are in the middle, Tokde and Wakui Galbet, those two provinces. So what Israel now is doing is they are taking the chance that they see the people themselves are trying to go back to Somalia united. So, and they wanted to sit the joke, to sit in Bab el-Mandeb and force Saudi Arabia to accept the normalization, because Saudi Arabia tied the normalization with the recognition of Palestine, and Israel does not want to recognize Palestine. So Israel came up with another idea: let us joke Saudi Arabia, divide Yemen into two, sit on south of Yemen, sit on Somaliland, and then by joking and encircling Saudi Arabia, let us push them to accept the normalization without the question of Palestine. And that is where the geopolitical is coming on this. So the rest of Somalia, when they took independence, then the dictatorship came, and because of the dictatorship, something that's not good happening. Everybody is regretting what happened at that time to North Somalia, where you call Somaliland now, but they were not the only rebels that they started. There was a rebel before them called SSDF, that where we call now Puntland, was the first uprising rebels who uprised against the dictatorship of Mohammed Siad Barre of Somali Republic. They were also had their own share of the brutality of the dictatorship. And in 1988 is where SNM, Somali National Army, of which now ruled the Somaliland, came also and uprised. But the brutality that the government of the dictatorship did was not good for anyone, not either South Somalia or East Somalia or West Somalia. Everyone was affected. But we know that Somaliland, or where there is a north now, where you see Togder and Waqooyi Galbeed, was brutally attacked by the government because they were uprising, while the other one is they were also uprising, but the community were differentiated from the rebels. So the government was attacking the rebels while indiscriminately. Unfortunately, these two, because the people of them also oppressed. So indiscriminately, the government has attacked them. So in 1999, in 1988, there was another party that was formed called USC, United Somali Congress, that made to topple the dictatorship in 1991. So in 1991, Somalia, the rest of Somalia went into collapse, went into civil war, and 1994, where we call now Somaliland, said we want to have our cessation and secede from the rest of Somalia. But in that cessation, they had no chance to take what you call a poll to ask the people if they would favor for unity or secession, but only the elders came together and decided that they want to secede from Somalia, not asking the ordinary people their intention or where they want to be. So in that manner, that is why still in where you call Somaliland, adult region, you still have a people that are every day demonstrating and saying nobody is asking us where do we want, and they want to be part of the Somalia. So that is the category and what happened. And the secessionists have two arguments. One was that they say we came to Somalia while we were a government and we united with the trustee, because when they took the independence, they said, okay, we came to you 5 days after North got the independence from British. They came to unite 1st July 1960 with the rest of Somalia that were already in trustees. And they said, we will take back. But there was a unity treaty that was signed that formed the Republic of Somalia. And in that context, that's why the African continent and the world is not in a position to accept that it secedes from Somalia, because there was a lot of other countries who came in that manner, being Tanganyika and Zanzibar, that we call now Tanzania. Tanganyika and Zanzibar also came and united the same way that Somalis united. And then if now they start, it would mean that NFD, that I told you, northern frontier of Somalia, are with Kenya now, provinces, the northern provinces of Kenya. Ethiopia, we have Ogaden region. So if this one starts and the world secedes this part of Somalia, then it's at it started. Tanganyika may say we are no more with Zanzibar, or Zanzibar may say we are not with Tanganyika. NFD, a northern Kenyan part of regions, may say we are also want to secede. Ethiopia, Ogaden region, they may say we want to also secede from them. So it will be uncontrollable in the continent of Africa. That is why Africa took that they will not be dividing the borders that took independence from. And when Somalia took the independence, they were Somali Republic. They were not different too. So in that context, we in the perspective of Somalia, we say Somalia is one part and cannot be divided, because nobody can allow other body to sit on his neck and say I can survive with the rest of the body. So if one wants to sit on your neck and control what goes into your stomach and whatever you are putting into your stomach, it would mean you rather have to die instead of allowing such things. That is the perspective of Somalia, that they cannot allow to happen this thing. We know that in somehow every cessationist has a unique implications. As we say, like sub-Saharan Africa in Morocco and Palestine, they have a unique circumstance that is totally different, the underlying circumstances that Somaliland is selling to the world. because when you want to secede from a country, then you have to come with a proper discrimination and apartheid rules that is forcing you. But out of nothing, because of an envy of being a tribalism, nobody can secede from other country because we are different tribes. Because all Somalians are different tribes in different categories. So we thank you, all of you coming and attending, and we will wish to engage more in these topics and more topics, as Khalid said, also in local topics and hot topics, and whatever we will shed into light from now on, whatever topic that we think affecting the community in locally in Western Cape, and how we can attend and analyze together. And we thank you for that, and sorry for the inconvenience. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.